Hello and welcome to Ways Women Lead, the podcast where remarkable female leaders share their personal journeys and offer valuable guidance on advancing your career as a woman in leadership. Join host Anna Gromadska and her guests as they delve into various aspects of leadership, including diversity, equity, and inclusion. This podcast is brought to you by Six Group, a global executive search and leadership advisory firm.
Hello and welcome to Ways Women Lead. My name is Anna Gromadska and I am your host. And today we'll talk about a very specific topic, which is customer-centricity in the automotive supplier industry. And why are we talking about it? So from my experience working as an executive search consultant, I see that organizations emphasize the importance of adopting a customer-centric approach in any job function, not only commercial. And so we'll explore what customer centricity really means, what it entails, and why it's vital for functions beyond business development and sales, and how to cultivate it effectively. And today my guest is Melanie Schuttenberg, Vice President Business Development Europe at Flex Automotive. And also you hold a dual position. The other role you hold is, if I understand well, it's managing director for Flex Germany. But if you can explain, because the title is in German, I will not try to pronunciate it. So if you could share a little bit about your current role, your responsibilities, and what Flex does, that would be great.
Okay, let me start with an introduction of Flex, maybe to give everyone a bit of an overview what company we are talking about. So Flex is a $30 billion company. We have around 170,000 employees worldwide. Flex is an electronic development and manufacturing provider. So our headquarters has moved from Silicon Valley to Austin in Texas. And in the automotive segment, we are mainly focused on products in the next-gen mobility. So for us, that means products where we are into electrification, and that could be low voltage, like 48 volt, that can be high voltage. And then the other part is compute. And compute does mainly means for us hardware. So we are not into software, but mainly on hardware focused. So that's the big areas, my big focus areas. Then introducing myself, you already said it. So my name is Melanie Schuttenberg. I'm now since over 9 years with Flex. And I'm, as you said it, the Vice President for Customer Business Units. So I'm responsible entirely for the automotive business in Europe. And then my second role, you said it well, I'm Managing Director of the Flex Automotive GmbH. And that is our design center that is based in Stuttgart. And from this location, we are reaching out to all of our OEM customers and tier customers that are in the European region. In addition, I'm at the advisory board of a different company. It's an automotive supplier as well called Tyco. Tyco's headquartered in Denmark. And Tyco is a market-leading supplier of premium stainless steel exterior trims for global premium OEMs as well. They have a global production setup. And going forward, Tyco has pre-validated decorative interior solutions, including processing of natural source materials. So this is about NFT technologies to really serve the need of sustainable and recyclable material. So that was a long introduction, but that's about me.
Thank you for this. This is, it sounds fascinating. It sounds complex as well. So looking at it from a customer centricity perspective. So in your perspective, in your opinion, what does it mean for a leader in the automotive supplier industry to be customer focused?
So for me, being customer focused really means you have to understand the customer and you have to understand the customer needs and you have to understand what they need now, but as well what they need in future. And then you have to, of course, be aware of what is your capabilities, what is your experience, and then you have to match those two. And that brings you into the corridor where you need to be today. And then you have to evolve yourself by bringing up a strategy that secures you the space as well into the future to become really like a long-term supplier for the customers. That is a little bit what I see. So really knowing the customer needs now and in the future.
So this leads me now nicely to the next question. Now, actually, this one question, we use it often for assessing candidates before presenting them to clients to assess whether they do demonstrate this customer-centric approach. So it'd be interesting to hear your answer to it. From perspective, if you wanted to advise someone how to develop their skills, their customer centricity, how do you anticipate potential future issues for customers to foster long-term relationships? You mentioned needs now and in the future earlier, that
Yeah,
this is two parts of being customer-centric. So how do you anticipate those potential future issues for customers before they
there.
come to you with them?
So actually, that starts pretty early. So there are issues. If you look a little bit into the past, something which is typical in the automotive industry is that you have a contract with a life cycle of 5 to 10 years. That is going to change in the future. So maybe you even stay with that contract, but that would be an issue if you're not able to update and upgrade your product within that long period. Because if you look, for example, then into the compute, you have to update not only from software, but as well from hardware. So if you now start a production with a chipset, and you know there's already an entrance chipset in 3 years, which is really, really a complete innovation, then you are suddenly on risk. So whether you match it that your actual design is gonna be supportive and being upgradable, adaptable to a new chipset, or otherwise you will be on risk that the customer has to look earlier for one of your competitors to do it. So this is, for example, how you can be overly proactive with the customer, already understanding their issues and how they're going to be impacted and already provide solutions. That would be something, how we tackle issues that we see that the customer will be confronted with.
You need to not only be aware of the market trends, the future market trends, to be able to design that will be able to adapt to those trends, to those changing needs of the customer. You need to anticipate these trends before even the customer does. But I understand you also have to foster this customer-centric approach within your organization, because in that sense, the design team also has to be customer focused. They cannot think of the product that's the one that will be suitable for the next 10 years.
Absolutely. So actually, we handled that from a very early stage. So in here, let me start. So what you do, how you gonna enter, how to decide to go into this or that product category. So we do it a little bit like Michael Porter would describe it with the 5 forces. You at first make a real deep market assess. So you have to understand what is my competitors doing. So which level are they? And this is really product focus, right? So we are on a product focus. So this is the product you might have an idea to enter with. So you have to understand where's your competition on a technology, on a price level, on even location, whatever. Everything should be considered here. Then you have to understand what kind of regulations, even by law, within different regions can support you or suddenly go against you. You have to understand about the suppliers that are part of that space. And here as well, what is the future technology on component level that you're going to need? Already step really by strategy into long-term supplier relationships. So, and then so really to grab the overall market understanding and having that leveled, so you have an overview at first. And then the next level is, and here you need all the parties being part of. So that doesn't matter if it's sales team, if it's engineering, operations, quality, everyone is involved. You have to define what is your unique selling point. Because just to be as good as the others doesn't guarantee you a win. And why would you do all that effort just to be at least under the last 3? So that doesn't bring you forward. You want to be the winning party. And the really differentiator here is that you have to tailor that solutions. So the truth is not that you develop a platform product and then you just spread it out to the entire customership. The trick here is really to have an individual pursuit plan, which requires all of the different departments that you're integrated in. And that is a tailored solution for this customer in specific. Because as well, another component of Porter is the customers. Every single customer has a unique situation, a unique circumstances on technology, on cost level, on where do they need you to be. And all of that plays a role. So you really have to tailor a solution to guarantee you have a unique solution on the customer.
And so now thinking again of someone who would like to step into a similar role that you hold right now, grow their career towards this position. So it sounds like a lot of things you have to think about, of course, a lot of priorities. There's a huge stakeholder landscape that you have to manage, as you said, all the external stakeholders, the customers, the suppliers, internal stakeholders, making sure internally everyone is on the same page and there's a understanding among everyone. How does your day-to-day job look like? What do you do on a day-to-day basis to make sure that there is that understanding? You are ahead, you have your unique selling points defined clearly and everyone understands it, and the engineering is on board and suppliers know it as well, etc.
Yeah, so there is a little bit like a shared day, I would say. So on the one hand, because I'm driving the P&L responsibility, my day is into finance. So really doing analysis, doing reportings, preparing reportings, seeing where we are financially. And then the other thing, what you mean more is the DNA of a usual salesperson. Let me put it like that, like customer development. So what you have to do is really bring the team together. So in this role, you are a manager that need to integrate all of those people. By coincidence, they wouldn't do that. So you have to develop a pursuit plan and a strategy to win this or that product at a customer. You really have to let them talk to each other, and they have to be part of a solution. So your plan that you have tailored for the customer would need the voice of engineering, because you need to define your unique selling point. So you invite engineering to the table, you invite the quality to the table, and you invite the purchasing team to the table. So all of them in one room, and it doesn't matter if it's face-to-face or virtual, but you have a constant dialogue until you have your strategy set. And every voice of them is necessary, because the customer is not only looking for commercials. The customer is not only looking to have the best technology, and they are not only looking for all this suppliers already really doing a great quality, they don't have issues. So all of that together gives a big picture, and you have to fit the complete big picture. If something of that is not in line, you're not make the win. So therefore, you really have to manage to get a team together, and you have to let them be connected. You do together set up the strategy. Everyone is aligned, and then everyone understood its role. Because it is not only that everyone has the same understanding, but from here, everyone has to understand, so what is my role in this game? So and that's why bring them together, have a dialogue or with all the people together, and define which is each role, and then track it along, monitor.
One question I wanted to ask you was, why is it important for other functions than business development to have this customer-centric approach? I think it's clear. If they don't, the team won't be aligned. Do you find it difficult because to develop that customer centricity across other teams of business development? Because I think it's quite obvious that business development leader, sales leader would need to have it. What about the engineering team? Do you find it difficult sometimes to help them develop that customer centricity versus maybe them wanting to come up with some very creative, amazing product, but that doesn't quite fit with the strategy? Have you ever had a challenge? And if you did, how do you help them to develop that customer centricity?
Yeah, so this is exactly really to have everyone's voice, and there's not one voice having a bigger weight than the other, because it all has to fit. So finally, to bring them all together, the headline is really, we have to make that as a win. And that doesn't work if someone say, yeah, but my voice is louder here, I have more impact. That's not about it. So really the analysis that you have done before brings you what should be the best solution. So, and what is really your unique selling point here. And this is where everyone have to fit in. And then, of course, you have departments if it comes then to how to stay in touch with the customer. That is about the individuals then. So now we're talking about humans. And I know it's a stereotype, but usually within the sales area, people might have it easier to set up communications, face-to-face communications, direct communications, and here communications with the customer. And then by stereotype, and that is not valid for each and every one. In some of the cases, there are people which are not so often like to be connected to people, but it is necessary. So as well here, we don't let that be happening by coincidence, but when we set up a pursuit plan and how really to ensure that this is the strategy, this is the path, this is how we monitor, this is what we do every week to ensure a win. Part of that is, again, all of the departments are part of the discussion, and we have a meeting and we're collecting. So where are we with this? And part of that is as well that the engineering team set up a discussion with the customer end. So with their counterpart, we set up a discussion with our counterpart on the sales side and purchasing side. We need that to be happening by the production, by our purchasing team with the customer. So you have to connect all of the individual ends as well then with the customer. And that is something what I say plays a big role. And that is something what round up the picture. And that is something what you track along. And it won't happen by coincidence. You have to be the leader of that orchestra. That is mainly, I think, business development managers are in the role to really do that, leading off and managing that situation.
Okay, so it's about setting the right expectations, the right metrics across all functions,
Yes.
which are aligned with that one objective. If someone came to you and said, I want to cultivate a stronger customer-focused mindset, a stronger commercial mindset, a stronger capability to be effective in customer-centric role, perhaps in your role, what would be your advice? What skills would you advise them to develop, or what would be your advice in general?
For these persons, what is always a good thing and something like a differentiator, let me call it like that. So you should have the basic ability, understand about financials, understand, are willing to communicate. That is a little bit the unique what you need. If you want to differentiate and you want to become part of such a team and want to be in such a leadership role, what always makes you personally unique is your customer experience, because there is, like I said at the beginning, there is no one fits all. You need to be very tailored and customer focused. And customer focus means you do not set up a strategy which fits all. That doesn't exist. So you really be tailored on a customer and then on a product in specific. But starting with a customer experience so that you have built up, that starts with really basic. So what is part of their requirements? Their common requirements that they send out to all the suppliers, starting with this, what do they have like processes that they are going along, what is working at this customer, what is not working at this customer. That takes you years. And if you can't develop that on your own, my advice would be see how your colleagues are doing that. Listen to them. Yeah, get your own personal catalog of solutions and have that set up for you. So that is a bit what I would call customer experience. And the other unique thing that you bring, why people would take you and prefer you during a hiring, is your customer network. So that is a differentiator. So if we are looking for hiring in this area and we look for really like skill sets, there is basic skill sets, but this is what gonna makes you unique: your customer network and your customer experience. And customer network really does not mean so that you have been engaged with only one particular purchasing counterpart, for example, but it is really up a network. And the trick here is A lot of people usually tend to only being very focused on that one counterpart that they have during going to one RFQ. My advice would be build up relationships that are longer lasting. At the customer, people are changing in positions, so you might meet them again. Stay in touch. And as well, that doesn't come by nature. And if you are not one who is constantly thinking, I didn't talk to this person, I didn't that, then don't let it happen by coincidence. Set it into the calendar. Ask the person, say, would you be okay if I set up a call, a constant call, even if it's only every 3 months or whatever, twice a year, into the calendar, that you make sure you stay in touch and you keep the relationships.
Okay, so build a map of stakeholder within the customer landscape, supplier landscape, that you believe are important to maintain relationships with, and then make sure you remain in regular contact with them. So this is something you should proactively start doing if you're not doing it, if you want to progress into a similar role that you're holding. What are the skills that you find most difficult to find when you're hiring for people, reporting to you, or for people within your business in general, when it comes to customer centricity, or any role that works customer facing or delivers to customer?
So in general, when we hire people, we're always a team. So there's no one person is doing the total decision. There's always a team involved because it's better. It's better. You have a more critique of more people seeing what we're looking for. So I always called it very easy. 50% why you hire a person is, of course, about capabilities and experience. And the 2 points that I mentioned, like the customer network and then the customer experience, is the main focus here. Everyone can learn how to handle a system in a computer. That is not what we would really looking for. Oh, this person is already, that is not. So those 2 are the key points here if it comes to skill set and what is your personal capability. The other 50%, it's only about the human. So usually I would just say, you see people and it have to click. If whatever your intuition tells you don't do, you rather not, because listen to really your gut feeling here that you have and tend to lean on that. But therefore, to not have a single person doing a decision just out of a gut feeling, we by purpose involve like 3 to 5 people always for hiring and into the interviews.
That ensures a more unbiased, a more objective approach. But it's interesting. Soft skills should be the word soft should be redefined. They're not really soft skills. I think it undermines the importance of those skills. And also, I always advise when some of my candidates are going to interviews, I always advise them, prepare yourself to your best, of course, but then be yourself. Because as you said, in the end, it's important that people enjoy working with each other. You'll be spending a lot of time together. So show your personality as well. Of course, put your best foot forward and be at your best, of course, in an interview setting. But be yourself. It's important that people have the opportunity to get to know you a little bit better as a human, as a person.
Can only agree. And I as well, if I would be the person applying for a job and I feel already ever, so all the conditions seem to be great, but something don't do. But that only happens not very often, but always listen to your gut feeling. It will give you a sense of truth. And then if the majority of the group interviewing has the same feeling, then you have a proven evidence, I would say.
Yeah. Precisely. Okay. Finally, if you could finish this sentence, for those who are exploring career opportunities within automotive supplier industry, within business development, you should pursue a career in business development within the automotive supplier if you
have a passion for cars, I would say, and if you really into people and like to communicate.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure as always. This is our second time. Thank you very much for sharing all that information, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you again.
Thank you, Anna, so much. Really looking forward as well to see you and speak to you again.
That's it for this month's Ways Women Lead episode. But there is plenty more insightful and actionable advice from where this podcast came from. Check out our website on www.six-group.com if you'd like to know more about how to build and develop diverse, inclusive, and effective leadership teams, and how to progress your career as a leader. See you next time.